Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we've got some really monstrous news for Cardano. We're going to dig into potentially 8 altcoins as well that could be a very good proposition. So we're going to dig into all of this stuff. If you enjoy the content, hit the like button, subscribe, and let's go. So we're going to start here on coin market cap. The total market cap of crypto globally is up 1.44% at the time of recording and sits at $3.78 trillion. Bitcoin at 109,400, up 0.49%. But we're here to talk about Cardano, ranked 10th, up 3.32% at 78 cent 47. Again, like I want to talk about it, it's outperforming Bitcoin, Ethereum. It's got 95% up over the last 12 months. I keep banging on about it because people seem to leave Cardano out of, the projects that have big potential, right? And everybody talks about, Bitcoin being this phenomenal investment. And actually, if you had invested just over a year ago in Cardano, you would have made more money. So this is why I always tell people to do their research, never invest more than you're willing to lose, because you do risk losing it all. Do your own research. There's no substitute for it, right? It's really important to do your own research and make sure what you're investing in, resonates with you and you're not just following people blind. I'm not a financial advisor. I treat this purely as entertainment purposes only. Never invest more than you're willing to lose, and so on. So look, we've got a lot to dig into. So we're going to start here. Cardano ADA price seasonal pattern suggests massive rally in Q4 this year. So again, just really interesting, right? Cardano shows historical seasonal patterns of year-end strength, with 2025 currently down 15%, but potentially following past rally cycles. Well, over the last year, it's up 95%. I don't know where they're getting down 15%, maybe over the last week or so, but overall it's up over 95%. So ADA is testing key support of around 80 cent, 81 cent. Well, we're below that at 70. Like, they've got to write better, haven't they? And the bulls are defending lower levels of about 75 cent. So October, November window identified as critical period for potential breakout towards $1.50. And again, you've got all the articles and tweets detailed in here, right? So we've got technical setup points to key window, again just being articulated there. This isn't like something unusual. This is something that we're fully aligned with, right? It's what happens every single market cycle that we've seen so far. Cardano ADA price corrects to 80 cent support level as Project Catalyst launch $18.2 million fund. So again, like, the fund is the aspect that I really want to focus on. I think that there's some really big opportunities, and I think that ultimately over the next few months we're going to see some pretty green months. But let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Do you agree? Obviously they're going to be distributing 20 million ADA to fund ecosystem proposals. So there's a lot of proposals, a lot of opportunities, and this ecosystem is going to grow massively. So keeping an eye on this aspect of things, right? We've got the TVL jumps 25% as the roadmap pledges 8-figure stablecoin liquidity. So seeing the TVL rise so strongly off the back of this proposal is a really, really positive sign, right? And again, it's going to back what we're saying here. We're going to have ecosystem growing, and ultimately it's going to be really, really interesting to see how things fully develop. And look, there's a lot of things that could go very, very right for Cardano. So one thing that people are talking about is the spot ETFs. Cardano ADA price, Grayscale ETF inclusion sparks hope of recovery. Obviously, the price fell 6% to 77 cent as technical analysis shows critical 80 cent support test. Grayscale ETF inclusion creates institutional pathway. And I've talked about this in a few videos, right? Having the access to spot ETFs, that institutional money is a really big deal. And at the moment you've got Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're in a different camp, right? Everybody's wanting that institutional investment, but at the moment Bitcoin, Ethereum have got it. Others like Cardano, Chainlink, Solana, like XRP, they haven't really got it, not to the same capacity as Bitcoin and Ethereum. Yet Cardano is outperforming both Ethereum and Bitcoin, if I can get my words out. So can you imagine what performance we would have seen from Cardano had it been operating under the same, boundaries, as Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? In that camp, if it was performing with a spot ETF, that whole same period that Bitcoin and Ethereum was, I mean, I dread to think how much more it would have outperformed Bitcoin and Ethereum by, right? Because ultimately it's already outperforming both of those assets. So again, just food for thought, right? And then we've got crypto ETFs set to flood US market as regulator streamlines approvals. So they're setting a new standard, to streamline crypto ETF approvals. Grayscale multi-coin ETF benefits from the revised rules. So there's a lot of rule changes, lots of legalities that are, were boundaries, barriers, are now going to be supporting this evolution as blockchain becomes more and more prominent in the real world, right? And then I wanted to talk about this article, right, which is basically which crypto will boom in 2025, the 8 fastest growing and trending cryptocurrencies. And I find this stuff phenomenal, right? You've got Bitcoin number 1. I get it. It's actually being outperformed by many altcoins. You've got Ethereum. Again, I kind of get it. First mover advantage. We'll probably lose a lot of market share though. Again, not a financially literate individual writing this article, in my humble opinion. And again, like, you can look at different stats, and it does depend on the stats that you look at. They determine whether you're looking at something that is showing positive signs or negative signs, right? We've got Solana in third. Kind of get it, right? It's doing some really cool stuff. XRP, not surprised to see that. Yeah, honorable mention, should be in this list. Chainlink, without Chainlink, crypto just doesn't actually perform as it should, as it should, and would never be mainstream. Without oracles, crypto smart contracts are just rendered useless, really. And then you've got Hedera Hashgraph, HBAR. Again, not surprised to see it in this list. SUI, not surprised to see it in this list. 8, to be honest, I think Cardano should be in this list. I would even, argue that Aptos should be perhaps in this list as well. Even AVAX could probably be in a list like this. I think that there's so many really awesome layer 1 projects out there, and ultimately it seems to be the same ones that everybody points to. And ultimately, it's difficult to argue with sentiment. It's difficult to argue with, what some of these individuals say. But probably the one that's got the most longevity in its architecture is Cardano, and yet it's missing off these lists so much. And I do think that will become a thing of the past over the next, few months, possibly over the next year, where Cardano seems to be coming out of the mouth of many others, particularly influencers, and in a more positive way. At least that's my belief. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments below, and I will catch you in the next one.